What if I told you there's a way to outsmart everyone around you, without ever raising your voice, breaking a sweat, or compromising your values? Sounds impossible, right? But it's not. It's the power of self-mastery. In this video, we're going to show you how to dominate your life with quiet confidence, using 6 timeless Machiavellian principles blended with the unshakable wisdom of Stoic philosophy. This isn't manipulation. This isn't deceit. This is strategic, precise, and unstoppable Stoic warfare. You'll learn how to take control of your world without losing your soul, ready to learn how to outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast the competition, all while staying calm, collected, and in full control. Stay with me. What we're about to explore could change everything. Rule 1. The ends justify the means. With integrity and endurance. What do you truly want? Not just what you say you want, but what keeps you up at night. That quiet vision you carry when no one's looking. The life you believe you're meant to live. The work you're here to do. That goal, your personal summit, it's valid. It matters. But here's the question that Stoicism demands you ask yourself. What are you willing to endure for it? And what are you unwilling to compromise? Machiavelli said the ends justify the means. Most people stop reading there. They hear that phrase and imagine manipulation, deception, or domination at all costs. And yes, many have used it to excuse moral collapse. But if we stop at that surface level, interpretation, we miss a deeper, more powerful truth. A Stoic truth. Because what the Stoic understands is this: there is no meaningful end unless it is earned through principled endurance. Marcus Aurelius ruled the most powerful empire in the known world. Yet he reminded himself daily to act with restraint, clarity, and justice. You can also commit injustice by doing nothing, he wrote, pointing not just to action, but to integrity in action. To the Stoic, the process is not separate from the goal. It is the proving ground for it. A great achievement built on dishonest methods is not greatness. It's decay with a shiny surface. And here's what that really means in practice. You will be tempted. Often, you will face the choice between what is easy and what is right, between fast success and patient growth, between external applause and internal peace. And in these moments, your values will be tested, not in public battles, but in quiet decisions. In private, there will be days when the weight is unbearable, when the sacrifices feel pointless, when no one understands the discipline you're maintaining, when people around you cut corners, take shortcuts, cheat, lie, manipulate, and they win for now. And yet you will remain on the path. Why? Because the Stoic does not just aim to succeed, he aims to deserve success. You must suffer well. That's what Stoicism teaches. Not a passive endurance, but a powerful transformation. As Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. To embody something is to become it under pressure. To not just recite virtues, but to live them, especially when they cost you. That's how character is forged. And character is the only thing that no enemy can steal, no failure can erase, and no fame can replace. Remember this: every shortcut takes something from you. Sometimes it's your peace of mind. Sometimes it's your credibility. Sometimes it's the respect you have for yourself when you're alone with your thoughts. That's too expensive a price for temporary gain. A Stoic never trades long-term strength for short-term applause. Instead, you move slowly, silently, with intention. And when people doubt you, overlook you, or laugh at you, good. Let them. Because silence is the shield of the disciplined. The Stoic does not need to convince the world. He only needs to answer to his inner daimon, his higher self. This is what it truly means to let the ends justify the means. Not that any method is acceptable, but that the suffering is. The long hours, the rejection, the discipline, the repeated failures, the isolation. These are acceptable means. Because they don't take from you, they give to you, they mold you, they prepare you, they clean you of ego and ready you for what is to come. So endure, but endure with clarity. Struggle, but don't compromise. Lose, but don't sell your soul for a win. Because the only ends worth having are the ones that leave your integrity standing at the top with you. Victory is not when the world applauds. It's when your conscience is quiet. And if you can suffer without complaining, work without validation, and succeed without corruption, you will have outsmarted the world in the most silent, powerful way possible. Rule 2. Never outshine the master. The power of quiet learning. In the presence of those who have mastered their craft, there is great wisdom in knowing when to hold back. Machiavelli's advice to never outshine the master might seem counterintuitive in a world that praises ambition and visibility. But when seen through the lens of Stoic philosophy, this rule reveals something far more powerful: the strength found in restraint and self-awareness. The Stoic does not seek to prove his worth by drawing attention to his own brilliance. Rather, he understands that true growth often comes in silence, in observing, and in learning. To outshine those who have more experience or influence can lead to resentment and discord, not because of your talent, but because of your timing. The Stoic doesn't rush the process. He knows that his time will come, but only when it is right. Patience, not impatience, is his ally. Seneca, in his letters, often warned against the danger of seeking recognition too quickly. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more who is poor. The Stoic knows that when you crave validation or visibility, you may lose sight of what truly matters: mastery of yourself. The best way to shine is not by overshadowing others, but by learning from them and preparing silently for your moment of true impact. The Stoic understands that no one, no matter how powerful or skilled, remains at the peak forever. Time and experience will reveal that in their wisdom, they may not need you to challenge their place. They need you to learn from their experience, to absorb their lessons, to prepare yourself quietly for the time when the spotlight will naturally turn in your direction. Until then, your humility is not a sign of weakness. It is the quiet preparation that ensures you won't fall into the trap of pride when your turn arrives. Imagine a student under a wise teacher. The teacher speaks, guides, and models. The student, eager to prove his brilliance, begins to speak up more, attempting to show that he knows just as much, or more, than his teacher. What happens? The student not only distances himself from the teacher's wisdom, but alienates himself from the very opportunity to learn. True wisdom lies in silence, in listening, and in discerning when to speak. The Stoic waits for his chance to act, not out of fear, but out of confidence in the future, knowing that learning is often the most powerful form of action. The Stoic does not waste time competing with those who have already paved the way. Instead, he seeks to learn from them. By remaining humble, he gains insights others might overlook. The ones who constantly compete for attention are often the ones who fail to notice the details that lead to mastery. The Stoic excels in the shadows until his time arrives, not through force or ego, but through the quiet buildup of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So, when you find yourself in the presence of someone more experienced, more skilled, or more established, remember, your power lies in your restraint. You don't need to outshine them to show your worth. Your worth is revealed in your ability to quietly observe, absorb, and prepare. In doing so, you set yourself up to rise, not with arrogance, but with wisdom, humility, and a deep understanding that the right moment to shine will come. Your time will come. Not because you demanded it, but because you were patient, wise, and quietly prepared when the world was watching others. This is the true strength of Stoic mastery, the ability to move through the world with grace, humility, and the knowledge that your power doesn't need to be shown, only developed. When your moment arrives, those who doubted you will see that your silence was the source of your strength, and your power will not be something they can ignore. Rule 3. It is better to be feared than loved. The Stoic strength of respected boundaries. Love is a beautiful emotion, but respect is what will keep you standing when everything else fades away. At first glance, Machiavelli's statement that it's better to be feared than loved might seem harsh, even unappealing. But when viewed through the lens of Stoicism, this rule offers a powerful strategy for navigating the complexities of life with clarity, purpose, and unshakable self-discipline. Fear, in this context, is not about terror or cruelty. It's about the recognition of strength, the acknowledgement of boundaries, and the respect earned through steadfastness, not through compromise. The Stoic by nature does not seek affection or external validation. He seeks peace, inner strength, and control over his emotions. To seek love in this sense is to seek something outside of yourself. It's a desire that by its very nature depends on other people, and that dependence leaves you vulnerable. As Epictetus teaches, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. If your happiness is dependent on being loved, you are susceptible to the whims and fleeting emotions of others. Respect, however, is something different. Respect is earned through consistency, through strength, through unshakable clarity of purpose. The Stoic understands that he will not always be loved, and he doesn't need to be. But he must be respected, because respect protects. It shields your boundaries, your time, and your energy. It allows you to move through the world without being constantly pulled in different directions by those who seek to take advantage of your good nature. When people fear you, not in the sense of terror, but in the sense of knowing that you will not tolerate disrespect, they will approach you with care. They will weigh their words before speaking to you, measure their actions before engaging with you. This silent power becomes your shield, and no one can cross your path without thinking twice. And this is not achieved through cruelty or manipulation. It is achieved through self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius, despite being one of the most powerful leaders of his time, was known for his calm demeanor, his fairness, and his clarity of thought. He didn't need to scream to command respect. He didn't need to crush his enemies with force. His power came from his principles. His respect was earned because he was unwavering in his decisions. He did not seek to please, but to be just, to be clear, to be right. And those around him feared and respected that. The Stoic understands that fear is not a reflection of cruelty. It is a reflection of strength. The strength to say no when necessary. The strength to stand firm in your beliefs even when it's uncomfortable. The strength to hold others accountable to the same standards that you hold yourself. This kind of strength is magnetic, not in a way that draws people into a false sense of affection, but in a way that ensures that you are never taken for granted. However, this doesn't mean you should pursue fear for its own sake. The Stoic does not use fear as a tool to manipulate or control. Fear comes as a byproduct of your character, of your ability to remain steadfast when the world is in turmoil, of your ability to remain calm when others are emotional. You don't need to raise your voice to make a point. You don't need to demand respect. It comes naturally when you embody it. And when people know you have the power to act decisively, they will respect you, even if they don't always agree with you. This rule also forces us to confront a deep question. Are you willing to be misunderstood for the sake of your peace and purpose? The Stoic is often misunderstood, seen as distant, cold, or unapproachable. But this is a small price to pay for maintaining one's integrity. People will not always love you when you do what is right, but they will respect you. And that is the only thing that matters. Respect protects your boundaries and ensures that others cannot impose their will upon you. So choose respect over affection. Live according to your values without compromise, and those who respect you will be the ones worth having in your life. The ones who do not respect you, who crave your attention or approval, will fall away naturally. And that's exactly how it should be. Because true strength is not in being adored, it's in being resolute, in being unwavering in your principles, and in commanding the respect of those who cross your path. The Stoic does not fear being feared. He fears being compromised. And if that means not being loved by everyone, then so be it. Your peace is worth more than the fleeting approval of others. Rule 4. Appear weak when you are strong. The power of concealed strength. There is a deep, almost paradoxical wisdom in the ability to appear weak when you are strong. At first, this might sound counterproductive. Why would you want to hide your strength when it could give you power? The answer lies in a fundamental truth. True strength is not about showing your power. It's about knowing when, where, and how to reveal it. And sometimes, the greatest power lies in concealing what you can do until the moment is right. The Stoic understands this principle intuitively. Stoicism teaches us to control our impulses, to master our desires, and to avoid seeking validation from others. This means that often true strength is shown not in grand gestures or displays of power, but in quiet, deliberate restraint. Just as the lion doesn't roar until it's necessary, the Stoic knows that his real strength isn't in showing it to the world at every opportunity. It's in holding it back, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, when his precision and focus will have the greatest impact. Machiavelli's advice to appear weaker than you are is not a call to deception. It's a call to strategic humility. When you appear weak, you disarm your opponents, lower their guard, and allow them to underestimate you. And when you are underestimated, you have the freedom to move without opposition. The Stoic embraces this subtlety, understanding that not everything needs to be seen. Some things are best kept silent, hidden, and prepared in the background, where they cannot be attacked or misunderstood. Seneca's writings emphasize this idea of quiet power. He says, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." When you appear weak, you encourage others to project their assumptions upon you, creating an environment where you control the narrative. This is not weakness, but mastery over expectations. When you hide your true abilities, you allow your actions to surprise, impact, and overpower those who believed you were harmless. The beauty of this rule is that it allows you to bypass competition. People are drawn to power, but they are also terrified of it. By appearing weak, you don't instill fear or suspicion in others. You maintain an unassuming presence. This gives you freedom to operate without interference, without the pressure to perform, without the burden of expectations. As a result, you can conserve your energy, focus, and resources, waiting for the opportune moment to demonstrate your true capabilities. This strategy goes hand in hand with a Stoic understanding of virtue and moderation. The Stoic doesn't need to prove himself constantly. He doesn't need to show everyone what he's capable of to feel validated. His identity is secure not in the approval of others, but in his own self-discipline, clarity, and alignment with his values. He knows that power is not something to flaunt. It is something to wield when necessary. Think about the art of war, where the most successful generals often operate with the knowledge that their enemies will underestimate them. The strategic advantage lies not in showcasing strength, but in making your moves with subtlety, preparing for the moment when all the pieces fall into place. You wait, gather information, observe, and when the time comes, you strike. Not recklessly, but with full intention and preparation. This is the ultimate test of patience, discipline, and wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, despite being the emperor of Rome, often used his position with humility and restraint. He did not rush into every battle, nor did he flex his power unnecessarily. Instead, he understood that his strength was in his ability to remain calm, calculated, and deliberate in the face of challenges. His power was in his decision-making, in choosing the right time to act, when his move would create the most significant impact. The Stoic emperor's actions were often quiet, his words measured, and his decisions made with clarity. He didn't need to shout to prove his authority. His actions spoke louder than any proclamation ever could. The key to this rule lies in self-control. To appear weak when you are strong requires an awareness of your own power and a willingness to hold it back. It's about managing your ego, knowing that showing off your capabilities all the time is not only unnecessary but potentially harmful. It's about recognizing that the value of your strength lies in its timing, in its application, and in its ability to affect change when and where it matters most. This approach also requires a long-term perspective. In the short term, you might be overlooked. People may underestimate your talents, your capabilities, and your value. But in the long term, when you act decisively and with purpose, when you reveal your strength at the perfect moment, those who once doubted you will realize they misjudged you. Your strength, once revealed, will be undeniable. So the Stoic doesn't need to perform. He doesn't need to impress. His true strength is in his ability to remain calm and appear harmless when he holds the power to disrupt. He doesn't need to flex his muscles constantly. He waits for the right moment to strike. And when he does, it's with the full force of his preparation, his clarity, and his quiet, hidden power. Rule 5. Create a reputation for cruelty, the power of boundaries and decisiveness. In a world that constantly tests your limits, there's one thing that will protect you above all else: the ability to say no, not just to others, but to yourself, to your impulses, to the temptations of comfort, of conformity, of compromise. And in a world full of shortcuts, it's this very ability that earns respect, even if at first it's mistaken for cruelty. Machiavelli's advice to create a reputation for cruelty has been misinterpreted as a call for ruthless violence or a disregard for others. But this couldn't be further from the Stoic interpretation. For the Stoic, cruelty isn't about harming others. It's about being unwavering, decisive, and uncompromising when it comes to protecting what truly matters: your integrity, your peace, and your principles. Cruelty, in this sense, is the steadfastness in drawing clear, unbreakable lines and never allowing anyone to cross them without consequence. Consider Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, who led with compassion and fairness, yet was never hesitant to make hard decisions for the good of the empire. When he had to confront an enemy, he did not hesitate. He faced them with the full force of his will. Yet he never used cruelty for cruelty's sake. It was not the harm that mattered. It was the clarity of purpose. He was decisive, and this decisiveness was what inspired both fear and respect. A reputation for cruelty is not about being cruel. It's about being absolutely clear. The Stoic does not waver in the face of opposition. He does not entertain excuses. He does not negotiate with chaos. And in this clarity, there is power. When you establish yourself as someone who cannot be manipulated, someone who has no patience for nonsense, others will respect that. They will respect your consistency. They will fear the consequences of crossing your boundaries. But why does this need to be reputation and not just action? Because, like the lion that never roars until it's time to strike, the Stoic knows that his strength lies not in constantly enforcing his boundaries, but in the knowledge that they exist. People will begin to understand that crossing you is not worth the risk. They may not fully understand your actions or your principles, but they will learn to respect them. And once they do, your reputation will precede you, saving you from many conflicts before they even begin. This is the true power of the Stoic approach to cruelty. It's a quiet, invisible force that maintains your peace. When you are known to be resolute, unyielding, and decisive, you don't need to escalate conflicts. The mere knowledge that you will act swiftly and without hesitation serves as a deterrent. Others will step back before they engage. They will think twice before they waste your time or challenge your values. But this rule also carries a lesson. Can you maintain your kindness, your compassion, and your humanity while still being resolute? Stoics are not cold-hearted. They are strategic. They understand that sometimes the most compassionate thing to do is to set a hard boundary. Sometimes being loving means being stern. Sometimes kindness is found in the refusal to compromise your integrity for the sake of temporary peace. So the question is not whether you will be feared, but how will you wield that fear? Will you use it to manipulate, to control, or to harm others? Or will you use it to defend your peace, to protect your purpose, and to safeguard your time and energy for what matters most? The Stoic creates a reputation not out of malice but out of necessity. A necessity to preserve their higher self, to live in alignment with their values, and to protect what cannot be compromised. In the end, those who fear you should not fear you for your cruelty, but for your uncompromising clarity. Your reputation will be built on the unwavering conviction that you will not allow your values to be bent or your time to be wasted. And when that is clear to others, you won't need to act cruelly. You'll simply be someone to be reckoned with. Rule 6. Always keep your enemies close. The power of understanding and observation. The final rule, always keep your enemies close, is one of the most nuanced strategies, especially when viewed through the lens of Stoic philosophy. At first glance, this may sound counterintuitive. Why keep your enemies around if they pose a threat to you? But upon deeper reflection, it becomes clear that the Stoic does not fear his enemies. He understands them, learns from them, and uses their actions as opportunities to refine his own mind and strategy. Machiavelli's advice isn't about making alliances with your enemies or coddling them. Rather, it's about maintaining awareness. When you keep your enemies close, you are positioning yourself to observe them, to see their weaknesses and strengths, their patterns of behavior, and their strategies. Understanding your enemies intimately gives you the upper hand. The Stoic approach to this is rooted in rational observation. When you understand an adversary, you can predict their next move and thus stay prepared to respond, not with aggression or emotion, but with clarity and precision. The Stoic by nature embraces challenges, knowing that true growth occurs in the face of adversity. Your enemies, in this sense, are a reflection of the challenges that life throws at you. They are the test of your character, resilience, and ability to maintain equanimity. The Stoic doesn't shy away from these challenges. Instead, he faces them head-on with calm and patience. In keeping your enemies close, you not only understand their strategies, but you also remain grounded in your own values. Moreover, there is wisdom in the fact that your enemies can be great teachers. While we often learn from those we admire, our adversaries can teach us even more. They challenge our assumptions, expose our weaknesses, and push us to become more resourceful and strategic. Rather than avoiding or fearing them, we should embrace the opportunity to learn and grow stronger. The Stoic knows that every encounter with an enemy can offer a valuable lesson in self-discipline, self-control, and clarity of thought. This rule also ties into the Stoic idea of detachment. By keeping your enemies close, you force yourself to engage without emotion. The more emotional you become about your enemies, the more they control your reactions. But the Stoic remains calm. He observes his enemies, understands their motivations, and strategizes without getting caught up in emotional turmoil. He understands that true power lies in his ability to remain indifferent to their provocations, to respond not based on instinct or anger, but with reason and purpose. One powerful example from Stoic philosophy comes from the life of Marcus Aurelius. As a Roman emperor, Marcus faced numerous enemies both within and outside of the empire. Yet he did not let anger or vengeance cloud his judgment. He understood that his enemies were not obstacles to his peace, but opportunities to exercise patience, judgment, and virtue. In his personal writings, Meditations, Marcus often reflects on his enemies, not as figures to be destroyed, but as challenges to be understood and met with integrity. His ability to maintain calm and focus, even in the face of opposition, exemplifies how the Stoic keeps his enemies close, but remains untouched by their negativity. Additionally, by keeping your enemies close, you give yourself the opportunity to learn from their mistakes. Often our enemies make strategic errors, exhibit weaknesses, or reveal their vulnerabilities. Observing these moments can provide insight into what not to do, or even reveal opportunities to outmaneuver them. In this way, your enemies, rather than being feared, become a source of wisdom. They help you see the world more clearly and give you a chance to refine your approach to life's challenges. In practical terms, keeping your enemies close doesn't mean that you have to interact with them constantly or engage in unnecessary conflict. It means staying aware of their actions, learning from their behavior, and being prepared for any shifts in the dynamics. It means keeping your mind open to the idea that your enemies are an essential part of your growth. They show you where you need to adapt, where your vulnerabilities lie, and where your strategies can be improved. The Stoic approach to handling enemies with grace and strength doesn't require you to manipulate or overpower them. Instead, it requires you to master yourself, to maintain control over your own thoughts and actions. By keeping your enemies close, you ensure that they do not control you. They may oppose you, but they cannot dictate your peace, your actions, or your growth. In the end, the Stoic keeps his enemies close not out of fear, but out of a commitment to understanding. The enemy is not simply an opponent to be defeated, but a source of wisdom, a mirror reflecting our own weaknesses, and a tool for self-improvement. Through this understanding, the Stoic transforms what could be an adversarial relationship into one of mutual growth and self-mastery. As we've seen, the principles of Stoic philosophy and Machiavellian strategy come together to form a powerful guide for navigating the challenges of life with grace and purpose. These 6 rules are not about manipulation or cunning tactics for power. They're about mastering yourself so that you can strategically navigate the world around you. Whether it's staying true to your integrity while pursuing your goals, understanding the power of boundaries, or learning from those who oppose you. The Stoic approach teaches us to meet life with clarity, resilience, and wisdom. You are the architect of your own fate, and by applying these principles, you give yourself the tools to handle any challenge, without stress, without fear, and with the unwavering confidence that you can rise above any circumstance. Remember, true power lies not in the world's ability to change, but in your ability to remain grounded and to master your responses to it. So, embrace these rules, not as weapons to control others, but as the framework to take control of yourself, to adapt, learn, and grow. Because when you are in full control of your actions and your mindset, you can navigate anything that comes your way. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share it with anyone who could benefit from these Stoic strategies. Your journey to silent, powerful mastery begins today. Take that first step. Stay calm, stay strategic, and stay strong. Until next time, keep embodying the principles of Stoic philosophy and live your life with purpose.